course, special thanks to all of the individuals, some of them, of course, members of our Hall of Fame, others just friends of our basketball community who are connected to some of the inductees here tonight. We feel very fortunate to have the support of everyone, make this a real exciting evening for the people that are being inducted. And as I said, we're happy to have them listed in the list of our supporters. So thanks to you all for being here tonight. In terms of the Manitoba Basketball Hall of Fame, as I said, we are in good shape. We are continually looking at ways to improve our Hall of Fame space, and if you've been there lately, you will notice that we have a new floor, and the floor, of course, there it is up on the screen. The floor, of course, has been marked with the development of the key from the original key to the key as it's expanded, and will continue to expand, I guess. But we're very lucky to have this was donated, and I'd like to recognize two individuals here tonight. First of all, the prep work for the floor, and shows you what I know about flooring. I just thought you'd tear up carpet, put down the floor. I learned a lot about this. The prep work where they actually had to put a subfloor and make sure it was level and all that was done by Fabris Milano, and Rick Watts, who is a member of our Hall of Fame, is the president of Fabris Milano, and donated all the goods and services, as they say, for the prep work of that before the floor went in. And then the floor itself, the hardwood, the lining, and the finishing of the floor was courtesy of Big Sky Enterprises, and the president, Mr. Sean Adamanchuk, is here tonight. If you've ever played basketball in the province of Manitoba, which many people in this room have, I'm sure we've played on the floor installed by Big Sky Enterprises. They are the layers of championship basketball floors, I think is what the slogan goes, something like that. So we were very, very lucky to have these people involved with us and make donations of their labor and goods. And we feel very lucky to have them on our side, as they say. So I'd like Mr. John Adamanchuk of Big Sky and Mr. Rick Watts of Fabris Milano to come forward. We have a small token of appreciation for them. Come forward, please. Just a couple of other things I'll mention in this vein. We now have, and I have a copy of it here if anybody would like to look at it, an actual design plan put together for us that will help us develop the wall as you go into the Hall of Fame. To your right is a new wall. It used to be windows, but now it's a solid wall, and we have plans to do some interesting things with that in terms of a timeline and some other things. And that's the wall you can see on the right of the photograph. We also want to drywall that back brick wall so that it looks the same as the one on the side, and do a timeline along the top. We've got some other plans. We've got plans for improved lighting and some sound, so that the sound will be on a motion detector device, so that as soon as you walk in, there'll be the sounds of the game, the squeaking of the running shoes and the referees' whistles and other kinds of things, people yelling at referees. So we want to keep developing the space into something that we can be proud of, and we can only do this with the support of many of the groups that I just listed, and especially of the members, because last year we had a fundraising drive where we approached all of our members, and we got tremendous support, and we were able to go ahead with the design plan. And then we got, I will tell you, a $10,000 grant from Culture and Heritage Manitoba that will assist us. Some of that was bingos, and those that do bingos I would recognize. It's a fun job, and we love doing them. And it's, but if you've ever done one of those, it's not the most exciting evening, but it's easy money, as they say. And we're happy to get those. So if you do get asked to do a bingo, or you'd like to volunteer tonight, I think we have one on December the 15th. The line will be forming over here after. You can sign up, because I know many of you, we only need 7 people, and sometimes it is hard to get people, but we like to recognize those that do those bingos for us. Because really when you look at it, our money comes from very few sources. We will make some money on this evening here tonight, not a lot when you consider in all the factors. I will tell you that there are no perks. Like I paid for my ticket and all of the committee members have either paid for their ticket or they are here at a table of a group that is sponsoring a table. So we don't have fancy lunches, and as I said to Janet, maybe this shows that we're just not very smart when we have our meetings. I'm proud to say that every penny that goes into the Basketball Hall of Fame is actually invested back into the Hall of Fame. So if you're giving money, it goes directly back into it. And we got great support from our members last year, and we're able to raise enough money to support the development of this design plan and to continue. And it really helps when you go to organizations looking for grants, when you can tell them that we have a floor donated and we've already done that kind of work and we have X amount of dollars already raised from our members. They often are looking at it as a matching grant. So I'd like to thank everybody, and we hope that we will get that continued support from you, because we want to keep this being a very dynamic space that we can all be proud of. And so I would again like to thank everyone for his or her role in that. Moving on, you will see just a couple of housekeeping things. On your table there is a orange colored sheet that has Basketball of Manitoba mailing list. We'd like you to put your name and address and email on that if you would. I hope that isn't an issue to you. If you don't like distributing your email publicly, you don't have to put it, but we'd like a record of everyone that's here tonight, and we will add you to our email list. And there are various things that go out at different times out of the Basketball Manitoba office that will keep you updated on what events are happening. So if you would, please sign those sheets, pass them around. I believe there's a pen at each table too if you don't have one. And we have a record of everyone that's here tonight, and we can add you to that. Also, the ceremonies tonight are being videotaped, as you can see in the central part of the room here, and this will eventually be online. Adam has said to me it'll be online by maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, so you'll be able to access that. And if you look in your program, on one page there, whatever it is, page 5 at the bottom, there's an ad there about the classic games. And if you're not aware of that, online now, through Basketball Manitoba, we have many of the championship games that have occurred over the years, high school, college, and other games in various tournament finals and whatever, and you can access those online directly. So if you want to watch somebody play, you can probably find some of the earliest games or ones we're not exactly sure what they are. It was the late 40s, and it's either a film, and now it's a video, of course, at either the old Winnipeg Auditorium or what was Taché Hall they used to play. This was University of Manitoba. Now there's no sound to it, and we're not sure who they're playing, but we do have it on there, and it's something interesting to watch. And then of course it goes along into the 60s and 70s and all of the high school championship games and many of the college championship, like the game tonight that the Brandon Bobcats won the national championship in '96. That game is on there. So you can watch any of these directly online, and tonight's events will be on there starting early next week, and an email will go out to everybody telling you when it's on there. So please take a look at that. We're very proud of our website too, and it does recognize all of the individuals and teams, plus has a lot of other things on there that we're very proud of. So that's the business part of it. You will also see in your program, and we may not get to them all, but we have our annual trivia contest. I will tell you that I think everybody got one in his or her program. Last year, the results, the crowd was pretty sad, actually. We told many of them not to come back this year, so I know many of you have prepped for this and studied hard so that you're able to answer these questions accurately. But this just gets you thinking about some of the great history of Manitoba basketball, and we'll answer a few of those throughout the evening. In fact, why don't we do the first one right now? It says, number 1, name the coaches of the first Manitoba universities, men and women, to win a CIAU or CIS. It became CIS, I'm not sure when, but originally was called CIAU, national championships. So anybody know who the coach of the first men's team to win a CIAU national championship was? Very good. I knew they'd come from over there. They have the answers I gave them. Don Hunter, of course, coached the University of Manitoba Bisons in 1976 to the first men's championship for the province of Manitoba, and for women, before that. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. We wouldn't want to talk to Vic's not here. Vic's in Scotland, so let's not give him any credit here tonight. We're going to mean mouth him all night, so I think I heard it. No? Colleen Dufresne, right. Colleen Dufresne coached the University of Manitoba Bison women's team to a CIS national championship in 1987. So those two individuals were the coaches of the first two. In terms of the high schools, let's just do that quickly. Anybody remember what high school Sandra Carroll went to? She's a member of our Hall of Fame and is now playing in Germany. She went to John Taylor, correct. What about Dick Bevan? Now that goes back to the Stellars. Right, St. John's. Yeah, there's only two kinds of students in the world. Did you know that? Those who went to St. John's and those who wish they went to St. John's. Guess what high school I went to? Bobtown. Now, Bobtown wanted to go to St. John's, but we wouldn't let him in. So he had to go to Churchill when we kicked him out, of course, yes. Ken Galanchuk. Ken Galanchuk went to Sisler, right, and Kim Berthollet went to Escalona Collegiate, the old Escalona Collegiate, not the new building that's there right now, of course. Anyways, we'll carry on with that as we go along, and we'll also be drawing for some of the prizes that we have up here. So let's move into the reason that we are here tonight, actually, and that is to induct officially some individuals and teams into our Manitoba Basketball Hall of Fame. The first person that we're going to deal with tonight, unfortunately, is unable to be here, but there is a representative of her here tonight, and we will hear from that person in a moment. The individual, of course, that I'm talking about is Andrea Hutchins. Now, Andrea played for the University of Winnipeg Westman from 1991 to 1995. She, of course, was a member of those famous Westman teams that set a North American record with 88 consecutive wins. Andrea came out of Newfoundland and was recruited out of Newfoundland, and that's where she's living right now, by Tom Kendall. And during that time, 5 years at the University of Winnipeg, she won on the Lady Westman teams 3 CIS national championships. She was all-Canadian in two years, 94 and 95. She played on the Canadian women's student team that toured around the world in 93 to 95. She was a member of the senior women's national team in 1994 and 1995, and they won the European Invitational Tournament and competed in the Goodwill Games. I remember seeing Andrea play many a time at the University of Winnipeg, and don't take this the wrong way, you know, when I played, and that's, it took me a long while ago, you know, women didn't sweat, they perspired. Well, let me tell you, Andrea Hutchins sweat. She was, in my opinion, one of the best competitors I've ever seen. Not just women, just competitor in basketball. She was, in my opinion, maybe the most important person in that group that won all of those championships and set that record. She often took the tough defensive assignment. She got the tough rebounds. She wasn't fancy at times, but she just worked very, very, very hard. And she was a true competitor. And we're very proud, as I said, to welcome her into our Hall of Fame tonight. She's a very deserving candidate. She did send me a message that she would like me to read to you here tonight, and I will do so. It says, "Thank you, this is truly an honor. I would just like to take this opportunity to thank some of the people who helped me along the way. I have to start with Tom Kendall, who recruited me to play at the University of Winnipeg after seeing me play in the 1990 Canadian Junior Championships in Sydney, Nova Scotia. He was the only coach to recruit me outside of the Maritimes, and I'm sure glad he did. Who knew that I would be so fortunate to be a member of a team that won 3 consecutive national championships and set a North American record? I have to thank Larissa Waschuk and Sandra Carroll for befriending me, befriending, a big word, as the national identification camp that followed that tournament in Sydney. We hung out a lot over the next 10 days and really seemed to click. Thinking back on it, they were the first people I ever met from Manitoba, and obviously they were great ambassadors for the province of Manitoba and the University of Winnipeg. I would especially like to thank Larissa and her parents, Steve and Ann Waschuk, for offering them to let me stay with them. I was a real homebody, and as much as I wanted to play basketball out west, I would never have left home and gone 3/4 of the way across the country if it hadn't been for them and their kindness. They not only took me into their home, but truly treated me like one of the family. So I really want to thank them for all their love and support, and for making me feel so at home. I must have felt really at home because I stayed with them for 5 years. I played then, 5 years I played, and then another year when I returned to Winnipeg to complete another degree. I had a childhood dream one day playing for Canada's national team. My father mentioned this to Coach Kendall when he was recruiting me. He promised he would help me reach this goal if I came to Winnipeg. So I want to thank Tom Kendall for making good on his promise, for telling me what I had to do to get to the next level, and for spending all those extra hours in the gym with me. Finally, I want to thank all my teammates, coaching staff, fans, and alumni, especially the Howes and the Elkers, for making me feel so welcomed. When people ask me, what do you think of Manitoba? I tell them, well, the winters are really, 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 really cold. She remembers that part. But the sun shines a lot, and the people are great. You couldn't ask for any better. Thanks for the memories, it says. That's from Andrea Hutchins. As I said, Andrea now lives in Portugal Cove, Newfoundland. And I can't say I know where, I know it's in Newfoundland, but I can't say I've ever heard of Portugal Cove before.
Suburb of St. John's.
Is it? Okay, very close to St. John's. Anyways, accepting on behalf of Andrea Hutchins are the Washchiks, of course. And Mrs. Washchik, of course, has a few words to say, so I'd ask her to come forward, please, and accept the award on behalf of Andrea Hutchins. I'll just let her stand there because it's something I should have said before. We're going to try to take some pictures up here as the awards are presented. But when the evening is finished, in that far corner over there to my left, we are going to have the presenters and the award winners please come there so we can take a formal picture, because we find some of the ones that are taken here, sometimes people aren't looking in the right direction or whatever. So we would ask that at the end of the evening, all of the people would come over there so we can get some real good pictures.
Got a current picture of her.
Ah, there she is.
Her husband and her son.
So why don't you tell us about it?
All right, thank you. After I was going to give this long story about, or short story, middle-sized story about how I'm up here instead of Andrea. I have not been a basketball player, but we've watched basketball for many years. We have been a Booster Club member for the last 18 or 19 years since our daughter and Andrea started playing, and we're still there. Okay, after Tom Kendall recruited Andrea Hutchins, fondly referred to as Hutch, we all called her Hutch. She also objected to being called Andrea. She said it's Andrea. And she made sure she trained us to say that.
No, you don't.
Tom called us and asked if she could stay at our place till she found a place of her own. She had met our daughter Larissa at a junior national basketball training week in Nova Scotia that summer. Andrea's dad phoned us the next day thanking us for taking her into our family, that she was young and had never really been away from home, and so before we even met her, she thanked us. So we really were delighted to do that. Andrea arrived and did become part of a family for 6 or 7 years. She played basketball for 5, and then she came back and took 3 years of physiotherapy. She tried part of it back on her own, then phoned and said, "Can I come home?" So her last year of her training, she was still at our place. She did, okay, let's see. And so we keep in touch with her on a regular basis. She is married with a husband and a beautiful son who looks like her. If anybody wants to see it, I have this picture. And she tells me the son is very hyperactive. And I've heard many stories from the grandmothers too about how hyperactive he is. She also said she was hyperactive growing up, and her parents put her into every sport that came along. So men's basketball coaches, 15, 16 years down the road, you may want to contact this hyperactive kid. He will likely be a basketball player like his mother. His mother's 5'11", so he is likely going to hit the 6-foot range. Andrea was an exciting player to watch. She's 5'11". When she played point guard, she bent forward, and with the speed of a kangaroo, huge steps flying across the floor. Her dribbling was always close to the floor. Her opponents had double handicap, keeping up with her and getting down low enough to attempt a steal. There were not many steals when she was point guard. Andrea sends her regrets. We talked and tried to negotiate having her come, but there are various reasons why she couldn't, and she asked if we would do this. She is honored to be chosen to be inducted into the Manitoba Basketball Hall of Fame. And on her behalf, we say thank you for this honor.
Thank you, Mrs. Washington. You know, I'm personally very happy tonight to be able to do what I'm doing up here, but one of the reasons I'm very happy is this is the only time in my life, I know, it's the only time in my life I can say where there are at least two other people in this room who have bigger feet than I do. Compared to the two individuals who are going to be inducted next, my size 15s look pretty minor. So I'm glad now I could throw some, I've heard all the jokes and I could throw some back at them, but I won't. When you look at this group that we have here tonight, we have a lot of very, very special people for a lot of different reasons. The next individual that we're going to officially induct into the Manitoba Basketball Hall of Fame, I think just about everybody in the room has known and followed his career. He has probably done more with basketball than anybody who has ever been born in the province of Manitoba. And not only has he done more, but he is now in a position where he is able to contribute back into basketball in the province of Manitoba, and he is doing just that. And we'll talk about some of those details in a minute. Of course, we're talking about Todd McCullough. Now, Todd started his basketball career that we remember, of course, at Shaftesbury High School. And he led the Titans to 2 consecutive provincial championships in 1993 and 1994. He was seen playing for a provincial team that summer, and one of the games that I know was acquired through Todd's parents is a game where he is playing for the provincial team in a tournament, I think in British Columbia, against a British Columbia team featuring a Steve Nash, who we've all heard of too when they were very young. So that game will be available online shortly too, or at least parts of it will be available. Anyways, he was seen at this tournament and as a result was recruited by Coach Bob Bender to play at the University of Washington. Now, you know the University of Washington is an NCAA Division I school playing out of the Pacific 10 or Pac-10 conference, as we usually say. Now, during his 4 years at the University of Washington, Todd was twice all Pac-10 first team all conference. And he led all NCAA Division I players in field goal percent for 3 years. And there's only one other player in the NCAA history who has done that. I'm not sure who that person is, but I've seen that written down before. He was drafted in 1991 in the NBA. He was drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers in the 2nd round, and he was the 47th pick overall. He played 4 NBA seasons for the 76ers and the New York Nets, but he was unfortunately had to take early retirement due to a nerve problem in his feet. Now, you can maybe give us some details about that. I know it's got a fancy name. During that time, of course, too, he played 93 games for Canada's national team. And for Canada's national team, he played in the 2000 Sydney Olympics, the 1999 Pan American Games right here in Winnipeg, and the 1998 World Championships. As I said about putting things back into the game, Todd is now the sponsor of the Todd McCullough Hoop School, which has been now going for 8 years in Winnipeg. And this is a program for grades 6 to 8 inner city school kids where they can learn some basic skills of basketball. And we really appreciate that he is putting some of that, some of his time and effort and money back into the game. He is now married and lives in Bainbridge Island, Washington, which sounds pretty romantic with his wife, Jenna. He is, believe it or not, and I learned this, he is a professional pinball player now. We can talk to him a little bit about that. Now, after I go through all of this long resume of very, very exciting and, of course, very impressive things, in doing my research for this evening, and I'm not just a pretty face up here, I actually do some research. I learned something that really impressed me about this individual. Did you know that you can buy online Todd McCullough wallpaper? Now, I've never known anybody who I can say that you can actually buy wallpaper with his picture on it. Now, did you know this, Todd?
I'm selling it.
You're selling it, okay. Now, maybe I'm easily impressed, which I probably am, but this is impressive. I can honestly say I've never known anybody who actually has a wallpaper that you can buy with his or her picture on it. I think, as I said, all of us followed his career, and we're very, very happy that he made the effort to be here tonight. I will tell you that on Tuesday of next week, he will also be inducted into the Manitoba High School Hall of Fame, which is just starting out, as will Bob Town, who is sitting at the St. Andrew's table, plus some other individuals in other sports. But we're very happy that he made the effort to be here tonight, and his family, many of his family members, his mother and father, have come from Paulicum Beach in British Columbia. And as I said, we're really very, very happy that he's here tonight. Presenting the award to Todd tonight will be his 2 high school coaches, Richard Gooch and Doug Fraser. I'd ask them to come forward, please. And here he is himself, Big Mac himself, as I said, Todd McCullough.
Is this important? Hello. Okay, cool. Well, I just want to thank everybody for this honor. I'm very honored when I got the call from Ross, and I've been very happy ever since. And so I've been trying to politely share my excitement with people and not necessarily brag too much, but I've been very proud of it. So I told the airline stewardess I was getting inducted. I'm telling my friends, and I'm telling anybody, that's why I'm up here. And I have some U.S. friends that are some of the sweetest people I know, and they're on vacation right now. And I called them to tell them, and they said, well, what are you doing this week? I said, actually, I'm getting inducted into the Manitoba Basketball Hall of Fame. And they said, oh, that's great. So he yelled, honey, Todd's getting inducted into the Manitoba Basketball Hall of Fame. And I thought, that's great, something I didn't know, but apparently I'm in line for the Manitoba Basketball Hall of Fame as well. So that should be good. Got that going for me. So I want to say thank you to my family. Unfortunately, my wife Jenna can't be here tonight. She's at home in Seattle with her 20-month-old baby. Carmen's really cute. We're reading books right now, and thank you. And we're getting ready for number 2. We're doing March with number 2, so that's a good thing. So we're reading books, Carmen. I'll just tell you a quick baby story. And we're doing animal sounds and stuff, and we're working on that kind of stuff. So I shouldn't tell diaper stories, but she was like, she got to the point where she can let me know when there's a problem. She needs a change. So I changed her. I was like, Carmen, you weren't lying. She went, and I wondered, like, what? Oh, I get it. All right. So I'd like to thank the Wilton family for coming tonight to support me. and just supporting me throughout my career. I'd like to thank my parents, of course. Thank my mom. She used to drive me to practice. She used to drive me to driver's ed, and we got in an accident on the way to driver's ed. I appreciate the effort and sacrifices they made to take me where I needed to go. I want to thank my dad for sacrifices he made. He sometimes would take the bus to work so I could have the car, so I could go to Duckworth Center and work out and lift weights. Sometimes I did that, sometimes I went and played pinball. I was working out the whole time, but I appreciate the sacrifices he made. And to my good friend, Chris Clark, I'd like to thank you for nothing, thank you for no support at all. He came from the far east of Kenora. I'd like to thank him for keeping my head from getting too big, and unfortunately couldn't keep the rest of my body from getting too big. Thanks for keeping me in line, Chris. I think he only came here because he wasn't sure this was really going to happen, so I think he needed to see in person. It's actually getting inducted. And I'd like to thank all of my coaches, Richard Gooch, Doug Fraser, Randy Sano, Darren Klapik, Neil Taylor, Scott Martin, Joel Themen, Dale Bradshaw, Tony Chu. I've left a couple out. But those people, they made basketball fun for me. And I'm still trying to have fun. And if it wasn't fun, I probably would have quit because it just wasn't, they made it fun and they believed in me to do better. And so I appreciate them, seeing in me the ability to get better and also just believing in me and putting up with some of my shenanigans. For example, at John Taylor, we were playing varsity and I forgot my shorts. This is back, the tighty shorts. We didn't have those Michigan baggy shorts. But I forgot them at home, so I couldn't play in the game unless I got them shorts. There was a reasonably big guy in the JV team. I thought, I'll just wait for the end of the game. I'll put those shorts on at the end of the game. Well, there was a team meeting that I didn't know about that I missed because I was waiting in the stands for this guy's shorts. So I found out I wasn't starting that game, and I was sort of told that I wasn't going to play. So I said, that's okay, we can handle John Taylor. So I sit on the end of the bench, and as everyone else plays, all 11 guys, they took off their warm-ups one by one and dropped them on the end of the bench where I was sitting. It was a little cold in John Taylor. They weren't paying their air conditioning bill, so I just put on the warm-up. And the next guy went in, I put on his warm-up. Next thing you know, I got 11 warm-ups on. And then, Mr. Fraser felt sorry for me. He's like, Todd, get in the game, quick! So I run by him, and off comes one warm-up, off comes two. He's looking at me, what are you doing? So I took off 11 warm-ups, and they do their trick. I was pretty warm at that point. And a game at home, my buddy Josh Lava, I inbounded the ball. He threw it up court, and then he bent down to tie his shoe. So I'm thinking, leapfrog, this is the perfect time for that. So I run over to where he is, and I go to leapfrog him just as he's done tying his shoe. So he's about to stand back up, and I just drive him right into the ground. And so we're both laying on the ground. We only got 3 guys on offense, and Coach Goose looked back. We're both laying on the ground. Josh is looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, leapfrog. Great opportunity. So they put up with my shenanigans. I just, one time, you think you're getting good and think people recognize you. Just swimming at the Penn pool, and a kid, he may have been 8, 10, came up to me and goes, you're pretty tall. How tall are you? I said, I'm 7 feet. He goes, that's nothing. I know a guy's 7'4", and I'm thinking, I'm from the city. I mean, I know Norm Famel, and he's not 7'4", and I feel like I know all the tall guys in the city. And he goes, I said, who was that? He goes, Todd McCulloch. And I was like, that's me. He's like, nope, this guy's 7'4", you just said you were 7 feet. And I'm like, no, that's me. I mean, I didn't have my ID on me. I'm at the pool, and he's like, all right, maybe you are. What's your number? I'm thinking, does he mean freshman year? Does he mean varsity? So I was 50 that year. I'm like, I'm number 50. And he's like, nope, been to the guy's house. Says 62 right on the backboard. I was like, that's my address. My dad painted it on there because it covered up in the house. He goes, all right, who's your driver's ed instructor? I said, Mrs. McIsaac. Yep, that's my mom. I guess the story checks out. You are who you say you are. So I, Todd McCulloch, I have a need tonight. Just want to thank you for this opportunity. Really glad to be inducted, and I hope when I get inducted into the Manitou Hall of Fame, you'll all come back and join me. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Todd. For talking babies, I will have you know that my daughter just had a baby. Had our fourth grandchild on Thursday night, so you better talk for that too. And you're all saying, he doesn't look old enough to have that. Aren't you saying that? Yeah. Let's do a trivia question, and we'll also do a draw, possibly, too. 18 individuals have been inducted into our who have been inducted into our Hall of Fame as players, builders, or on teams, have all won the same basketball award. Name it. I heard it.
Mike Spack.
Very appropriate for tonight, the Mike Spack Award. The plaque with all of their names is on that back table with some of the other stuff that we brought. And I'm proud to say my name is on there. The Mike Spack Award is given by the Manitoba Basketball Coaches Association every year to an individual who has made, in their opinion, major contributions to coaching and to basketball in the province of Manitoba. So 18 people who are in the Hall of Fame, and a number of them are in the crowd here tonight. Our names are on that plaque, and we're all very proud to have our name associated with Mike, and we'll talk more about him, of course, later in the evening. Why don't we do one draw? The first prize is courtesy of Basketball Manitoba. It is a hooded sweatshirt, a t-shirt, a jacket, and a dry erase board. So hopefully some coach will win this. There are various colored tickets, so I'll say the color of the ticket first. So if I say it's not the color you've got, you're out of luck right away. So then I'll give you the number. And since Jerry's here, yes. Jerry Olchina is an inducted member of our Hall of Fame and one of our committee members. It is a blue ticket, if that's the color of it, and the number is 0755491. 0755491. Yell bingo if you got it. Here we go. Come on up. We'll do another draw in a moment. Did you check the number, or did she look honest? The next individual that we're going to honor tonight is again somebody who's with bigger feet than me. And again, I'm proud to say that. Jerry Abernathy played for the Brandon University Bobcats from 1977 to 1981. He was a CIAU, it was called the CIAU in those days, All-Canadian in 2 years, 1980 and 1981. He was a 3-time GPAC All-Star. He was a national tournament All-Star for the CIAU, and really he was, and when he played, he was a legendary shot blocker and rebounder. He was the top rebounder in Canada all 4 years he played. I looked up the CIS record book, and I do have a copy of this, I printed it. His 29 rebounds in one game is second in the all-time CIAU and CIS records. And his average of 17.2 rebounds a game in 1978-79 is still listed as the all-time record for the CIAU. He was, as I said, a real shot blocker, and his nickname, of course, was Mr. Eraser. He averaged upwards of 5 blocks a game. Now, I can relate to all of this personally because when I played for the University of Manitoba back in the late 60s and 70s, I played in the post too. And if you play in the post, you know, often your job is to defend the basket. Now, thinking back at it, I kind of did it a lot differently. I didn't block too many shots. I just kind of fouled anybody that came in there. I learned that if you hit people often enough, they stop coming in there. It was just a different defensive philosophy. On the other hand, Jerry Abernathy, he did it the right way. I remember seeing many games versus the Bisons and the Westmen where it appeared that some individual for the Bisons or the Westmen had an uncontested shot, either a layup or an open shot, and all of a sudden this long arm came out of nowhere, and it was a return to sender, as they said. Those arms seemed to grow every year. It was like Plastic Man, if I remember. They extended farther and farther. I also know for a fact, in talking to Coach Jerry Hemmings, that in those years that Jerry played at Brandon University, he provided a great deal of leadership. Now, when you look at the development of the Bobcat program, Anybody who's been involved in coaching in basketball knows that you don't win national championships over a few, it takes time, you gotta build. And really when you look at it, the foundation for many of the great Bobcat teams in the 80s and into the 90s were built by people like Jerry Abernathy. I would also like to mention a teammate who has made, a number of people are here tonight supporting Jerry, but one specifically, Jude Kelly, who played with Jerry at least in 2 of those years, is an inducted member of our Hall of Fame. And it's interesting that Jude was inducted in 2005 and was unable to be here because he was getting married. What kind of excuse was that, eh? Anyways, he did make the effort to be here tonight, and he's still with his wife, so it obviously was a good decision to get married. So we appreciate Jude being here tonight, making the effort to come tonight. But as I said, he was really, Jerry was a real leader for those early Bobcat teams and provided a lot of leadership. I got an interesting email from David Nakoni. Now maybe you remember David played at Brandon University after Jerry Abernathy, and this is just some of his comments. He learned that Jerry was being inducted, and he says, "When I was a young boy, I was sure to watch all the Bobcat games. They were a great team, one of the best teams to ever play in Canada. I do not think I missed a home game that Big Jerry Abernathy played. He and his teammates were the reason I got into basketball myself. I know Big Ab would not remember me. I know he would not know that he made a big difference in my life, and that I think that is a kind of what makes his influence special. My first experience playing basketball was at the YMCA in Brandon. I was pretty young. I was out there with just a handful of kids. We were shooting around when Big Ab walked into the little YMCA gym. The person running basketball had Big Ab to come and speak to us about basketball. I really do not remember what he said that day, but I do remember what he did. Big Ab played basketball with us once he was done speaking. He stayed the entire time with us and played. Then it was time to go, and Big Ab asked me if I wanted to shoot some more. He played a little more one-on-one with me, then he walked me out to the gym. I got a big high five when he said goodbye. That was a terrific moment for me. It is one I remember to this day. I also remember him for his following the games. He remembered me and always gave me a wave and a smile. I think those moments in life that someone does something nice for you can have a longer influence than you ever think. I have coached now for myself for over 17 years. I try to teach kids I work with to be good people and give back to the community. I do this because people like Big Ab did it for me. Big Ab, you are the best defensive man ever to play in Canada. You are a great person. Thank you for making a big difference. David Nakoni. Presenting the award to Jerry Abernathy will be his coach, of course, Jerry Hemming. So I'd ask Jerry to come forward. And now I would introduce to you Big Ab himself, Mr. Eraser, Jerry Abernathy.
First, I have to thank God, for giving me the strength to be here. I'm going to cry. I'm sorry. I'm crying. Didn't think of my mother. She's not here, but I know she's here spiritually watching this event. This is very, 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 very important to me, and I'm very honored to receive this Hall of Fame nomination from you all. Manitoba is in my heart. Manitoba is part of my blood. Not just Brandon, but Winnipeg, but the whole province of Manitoba. You're in my mind. The past 30 years, you've been in my mind every day. Don't you ever think that someone because I'm from New York, Brooklyn, New York, and I still live there. I just want you all to know there's someone in New York City, in Brooklyn, and in the city that thinks about you all every day. And some of my friends always ask me, well, why'd you go to Manitoba? That Manitoba is the best thing that ever happened to me. I want you to know that my speech is going to be about Manitoba, about you, the province, Canadian. I'm a New Yorker. I'm what back in the day you'll call an import. And I didn't know. When I first heard import, I started smelling, wondering, what did I do? Why am I different? But then I understood. I started understanding the importance of being a Canadian and being a Manitoba, a person of the province of Manitoba. And you should be proud. Be proud that you are, because you're a great people. I just want you to hear that. You're a great people. You know, and I want to say something about Coach Hemmings, because he's a good man. Sometimes he's misunderstood. I think sometimes you'll misunderstand him. But I think in the next 10 to 15 years, you're going to understand and realize the impact that he made to your province and to Canada. You know, because we want some championships. We won some championships. We didn't win one, we didn't win two, we won quite a few. And it's not that many colleges or universities in all of North America, not just here, in all of North America, that has won any more championships than Brandon. And another thing I want you to realize too, first, Americans was coming here and playing basketball. Now, Todd McCullough is a fine example. Now, Canadians are going to America, and more Canadians are going to America playing basketball and Division I ball than Americans coming here. You see? So, you're the ones that started it too. Brandon, Manitoba. Yeah, for real. And I want you to realize that. I want you to think about that. Because without you, I'm telling you, y'all are in my heart. Y'all are in my heart. Y'all are in my blood. I said that earlier. I want you to remember that. And you will always be in my dreams. You know, I would think about some events, something happened. There's a Frank Bosch over there. Me and him, we started together with Brandon. The first game we won, we beat the Westmen. And back then you would play Friday and Saturday. That was the last game we won. When I first came, we didn't win another game the whole year. And we took a beating. We took a real beating, but we stuck together and we gathered as a team. They say to endeavor is to succeed. Is that Winston Churchill or something like that? To endeavor, well, we endeavored. We endeavored. And it started turning around, you know, and we started winning. And it was a great thing. It was a great experience. I met a lot of friends, and I'm still doing, basically, I'm not playing basketball, but I'm still working with young people. I still go to the schools. I still work in the schools. I still deal with children. I'm still a counselor. I work with children 24/7, and I love it, and that's part of my life, and I'm proud of that. You know, I might not be rich in finances, but I'm rich in spirit. You know, I'm a multi-billionaire in how I feel. And I really thank you all. I'm not going to stay up here to talk too long. That's it for me. And I just say, I came here import, and I'm leaving here all Canadian. And God bless you.
Thank you, Jerry. Let's give away another prize. We'll ask the lovely Mrs. Adamanchuk to draw this, unless she draws her husband. This is the second number 2 prize, which is courtesy of the Manitoba Colleges Athletic Conference, is a hooded sweatshirt, 2 t-shirts, 2 mugs, and passes for the all MCAC games. And the winner is, I guess it's the red ticket, and it is 809474. 809474. And one more trivia question will do. Which member of the Hall of Fame inducted team went on to become Premier of Manitoba?
Jerry Abernathy should be.
Was it Howard Pauley? Which party? No, it was Gary Filman. It was Gary Filman. He played for the 1960 Isaac Newton Sisler team that was inducted a number of years ago. I never did see Gary Filman play, but I heard he could only go to his right. That's a good one. And I said I'm more than a pretty face up here. Moving right along into the builder category, this is always an interesting discussion when we have our nominating committee meetings, because sometimes the criteria or guidelines that we have that we try to look at are a lot clearer when it comes to players in terms of what accomplishments an individual might have. In the builder category, of course, it's not as defined, and sometimes we have a lot of interesting discussion around it. The 2 individuals that we're recognizing here tonight are very well deserving of this award. The first person, first of all, I'll just tell you, because I wanted to know, I looked up how the dictionary defined the word builder. It had a number of them. It said, the first one it had was someone who builds. That's always very helpful. The second one it had was an ingredient added to a soap or detergent to increase its effectiveness. I don't know if that has any bearing on what we're doing here tonight. Third one might help us. Someone who establishes something by means of hard work. That makes some sense. And the last one I think is probably the most appropriate, someone who contributes to the growth and development of an organization. So our builders, of course, as I said, fill those criteria very nicely. The first individual is somebody who really has coached at just about every level. I think that Bob Hazel has probably coached every level almost possible in the province of Manitoba. He has coached at an elementary school, Lavallee, junior high Lavallee school too. He has coached high school, both varsity and freshman in those days, Windsor Park, Glenlawn, and Springfield. He coached some junior men's team. He coached the senior men's level, the St. Andrew Super Saints. And again, he coached me, so I guess anybody who had to coach me deserves an award of some kind. He coached a provincial team, the 1975 Western Canada Summer Games, which was the first Western Canada Summer Games. I was lucky enough to be a member of that team. We won the gold medal at it that year, and Bob coached us. He has coached in international competition because the St. Andrews team toured France in 1975, and we had a record of 6-1. I guess Bob won 6 and we lost 1. He also still is coaching in the WNBA. The Winnipeg Minor Basketball Association has been coaching his granddaughter's teams. So I think you name a level of basketball, this individual has coached it at one time or another. He has been involved in the game of basketball for 45 years. In the summer of 1971, he organized a group that actually toured, a group of 10 and 11-year-old boys. They went on a cross-country tour to promote mini basketball for the anniversary of the birth of James Naismith, which is unique. And he also has been integral in the involvement and organization of the Glenlawn Alumni Basketball Tournament, which has been running and still runs for many years and has raised thousands and thousands of dollars for scholarships at Glenlawn High School. He was the Manitoba Secondary School Athletic Association, which eventually became the MHSAA. He was the basketball commissioner. And as I said, he has done countless things in many, many different areas of basketball, and he is a very deserving recipient of an award calling him a builder, and we're very lucky to have him here tonight and to honor him as a builder. Here is the Purple Haze himself, and presenting the award is his longtime friend and also a member of our Basketball Hall of Fame, Jerry Olchina. I'd like Jerry to come forward, and he will make the presentation. And here he is, as I said, in the blood, in the flesh, Purple Haze, Bob Hazel.
I made a lot of notes, but Ross covered most of them, so this won't be taking me that long because I had a lot of trouble with timeouts not being long enough, and he told me I only had 4 minutes. I started coaching when I graduated and started teaching in 1961, which was at Windsor Park Collegiate, and I stayed there for about 6-7 years and then left and ended up at Glenlawn, where I was for 17 years. I coached the junior varsity team for 2 years. I only taught there for 2 years, but I kept coaching there for the rest of that time, 15 years. And at that same time, I kept playing senior basketball. I would have to thank a person like Freddie Ingleson, who saw something in me that I didn't think I had myself, and that seemed to be a way that my life went anyways, that other people saw things in me that I didn't really know I had. Playing senior ball with IPAC and growing up at a time when there was a lot of really good basketball being played in Manitoba. The Flin Flon Copper Queens were winning provincial championships in the girls section of the high schools. WLI and was winning Canadian junior men's championships. The University of Manitoba grads were winning senior men's championships, as was Paul and Chambers, who were also a senior men's team winning Canadian championships. And these are the kind of games and people that we grew up seeing and watching. Over the years playing, I sat down a week or two back and started thinking about all the years in playing that I went to what I, in my own mind, called the Final Four of senior men's basketball in Canada. Usually it was British Columbia, Manitoba, Southern Ontario, and Nova Scotia that had teams. Sometimes there was more than 4, but generally those were the 4 strong teams. And for 15 years, every year in March, I was going somewhere to play in one of these tournaments. And it's a funny thing, but I know this March I'm going to get the same itch to want to go somewhere to a basketball tournament. I guess finally I'd like to thank a lot of people for what happened to me over the years. It's a double pleasure for me tonight that I and Mike Spack are going into the hall as builders at exactly the same time, because Mike Spack was my very first basketball coach. I don't know how he taught us basketball, because the junior high that we went to, and some of my teammates are here tonight and they'll verify this, we didn't have a gymnasium. The high school I went to didn't have a gymnasium. I can remember him taking us to a little church gym. It was about the size of, not even the size of a double garage, I don't think. At one end, if I am thinking correctly, there might have been a 10-foot high hoop. The other end, we had to put this hoop up on a couple of 2x4s. It was maybe 7 feet high. So shooting from the outside wasn't an option, because the roof was only about 12 feet high. Anyway, I just want to thank everybody that voted for me on the committee, Mr. Olchina for nominating me, and all the people along the way that, being in the school system, you have to get permission to be able to go into all these tournaments and travel. So there are a lot of people I don't even know were giving me the vote, but people like George Fontaine and Freddie Engelson, as I said before, gave me opportunities to coach, and it was really easier to coach people like the guys on the Super Saints team because you didn't have to teach them all the fundamentals. They were guys that had a determination, they had all the skills, they worked together, and it was almost like the old NHL where you just threw guys over the boards and they knew what they're going to do. You had the best players. And it was like 5 guys out on the floor playing with one brain. And the only problem I had is there were some days and some games where I wasn't quite sure whose brain they were using. Anyway, thank you very much for this honor. It certainly is a great one. Thank you.
Let's do another draw here for a prize. The third prize, prize number 3, is from, again, courtesy University of Manitoba. It's a beautiful bison blanket, 5 game passes, and a bumper sticker. We have an orange ticket. It's 9488422. 9488422. Now we'll do one more. A blue ticket, and this one is for prize number 4, which is from the University of Winnipeg. T-shirt, bag, water bottle, ball, and a ticket package with 2 season passes and 1 family pass. A blue ticket, 0755483. 0755483. And we'll do one more. Another blue ticket. This is for prize number 5, which is from Canada Basketball, a warm-up jacket and pants, shorts, signed jersey from the Toronto Raptors, Jamario Moon. It is 0755495. 0755495. We'll do one more trivia question. First recorded game of basketball in Manitoba was played in 1900 at Winnipeg's Broadway Drill Hall at Broadway and Osborne. What was the final score? Believe it or not, it was 4-1. 4-1. Now, what is recorded of that? This was a league set up of the 90th Regiment Winnipeg Rifles, a military league. The sergeants were the referees. Sounds like a pretty good organization. And the baskets were called goals, and the 5 positions were 2 forwards, 2 backs, and 1 goalie. Now if it was 4-1, they must have had good goalies, right? But that's the first game that was recorded, and that was a gym that was right at the corner of Broadway and Osborne, where the Great West Life building is now. This, of course, is a very special evening for lots of different reasons and for lots of different people. None so much as for our next individual to be inducted as a builder. I'm going to ask Mr. Ron Myers, who is an inducted member of our Hall of Fame, and actually we should say the Honorable Ron Myers. He is a judge. Now he's only a judge for a short while, so after he's not a judge anymore, is he not so honorable? I know he is retiring and very soon, but Ron was inducted into our Hall of Fame 4 years ago, and he is going to speak to our next candidate.
I have been given the honor of introducing a legend, a person whose love of basketball started at a North End mission at age 10, and who for the past 65 years has richly deserved the title of Mr. Basketball in the province of Manitoba. The very few of us here who were around in the years following the end of the Second World War were the first to admire the talents of Mike Spack. If you attended St. John's High School, as I did, you were constantly reminded by Coach Russ Pastick of the exploits of this 5'5" dynamo, and his having led the Tech Junior Varsity to 3 city championships before joining the RAF for bombing runs over Germany. It was a must for anyone who played for Tech to go to the Civic Auditorium to witness Mike Spack in action for the varsity grads and then the famed Winnipeg Pollens. That wasn't just a request from Mr. Spack, it was an order. I got to see what a truly great player he was when the Pollens played host to George Mikan and the famed Minneapolis Lakers, and watched while he more than held his own against the likes of Whitey Skoog and Slater Martin, two of America's greatest professional guards. My first personal contact with Mike was an exhibition game between his Norwood Junior team that featured the likes of Jim and John Wright, Ab Hansford and George Pratt, and our very good St. John's senior team, of which I was a member. I think I impressed Mike by being the leading scorer for Tech with 2 points, as his team defeated us by more than 60 points. But I digress. His accomplishments as a player, official, coach, and educator were many, and included being a member of a Canadian senior men's championship team that was invited to play in the 1954 World Cup in Rio de Janeiro, coaching championship teams at all levels in Winnipeg and Brandon, being the first ever commissioner for the Manitoba Association of Basketball Officials, the first ever basketball commissioner for the Manitoba Secondary Schools Athletic Association, and the person most instrumental in reviving the Brandon Senior Men's League and introducing Masters play in the province. It was only natural that he be inducted as both a player and in the team categories in the Manitoba Basketball Hall of Fame. And it is only deserving that he becomes the first person to ever accomplish the trifecta by tonight being inducted into the Hall of Fame as a builder. After all, can you think of anything more fitting? A legend. Mike Spack.
Oh, isn't that lovely? Hi, everyone. And thank you so much for such a lovely introduction. After all the wonderful speeches, I think I better take a look at what I've got and cut it down a bit. Also to Bob Hazel, I thank him for his words. I remember well that first year of coaching at a high school, and Bob Hazel was my wonderful guard. Thanks for doing a good job. I'm at that stage where I really have to look at what I've written down. I'm not like all these other wonderful guys who they can just speak off the cuff, so to speak. So I'll just sort of glance at what I've got here and share with you some of my experiences. And first of all, of course, dear friends, what a wonderful, wonderful evening this is. Many thanks are due to a number of persons who have organized this event tonight. My basketball career started in 1932 at the Sutherland Mission, one of the oldest buildings in Point Douglas. Sutherland Mission was located at the corner of Sutherland and Euclid, and the building is still there. However, it is not a United Church mission at this time. My first coach was a Mike Zubik, who lived in the area. Sutherland Mission was, of course, our home court. Sutherland Mission was located at the corner of Sutherland and Lakewood. However, it's not a United Church mission, as I mentioned before. The church was built partially as a recreation area with even a swimming pool there. Believe it or not, width of the swimming pool was 8 feet and the length perhaps 12 feet. However, showers were available, but I wonder how many of us used them. There was an addition to the gym and pool, a carpentry area for the boys to build interesting items. And this is way back in those early days. With regard to the gym, the gym's walls were actually the lines for the basketball court, and it was the outer bounds. There was a very low ceiling, and the baskets were lower. The court size was about 20 feet by 10 feet. Practices were 3 times a week, fall and winter. Games had weekends usually, and the basic fundamentals were stressed over and over again by Mike Zubik, our coach. A key person to our basketball league, I give credit to Bert Jones, who headed up the league made up of about 5 or 6 church missions. What a great contribution that was by Bert. From league games at our young ages, we then became midgets playing at the downtown YMCA. Quite a walk it was from Point Douglas to downtown Winnipeg. Some famous teams resulted in the formations in the north end of Winnipeg. The high point, of course, was our senior Winnipeg Paulins, made up of many north end players, ending up with a Canadian championship. Then the task of raising money to enter the World Senior Championship played in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. What an experience that was with Bill Coach as our coach. For me, however, the highlight was when the playing games ended and the coaching teams began at Brandon University. A beginning was made at Sutherland, but the high point were the basketball clinics I held at various schools in Brandon. These were grade 5 boys. The physical education teachers in each of the schools were a great help in the program. Also, basketball clinics were held as short-term assistance to many girls and boys in Brandon University. Indeed, the high point of my basketball career was the coaching and clinics for boys and girls. I thank the Lord for the opportunity to be able to do this for many years. When the basketball league play stopped for 4 years, a few of us, with yours truly as chair, revived the league. There were many helpers too many to mention in assisting the revived organization. Remembered was that Vic Pruden took over as chair. Well, I headed up a few persons to raise money needed badly for the organization. And this was only reasonably successful. Lastly, and most important, are the people that assisted me over the years. My dear wife, Kath, who married me in England, on April 10th, 45, just before the war ended. Later, she provided important assistance in order for me to support basketball in Manitoba. When my dear wife, Kath, passed away, daughter Catherine, who lives near my home, is absolutely remarkable in caring for my knees who are not well at this time. And then, of course, she comes here and wins a wonderful prize. Not to be forgotten, our daughter Sue and her husband Doug, as well as my son James. All of them has been such a remarkable help in a difficult time. As well, I'd like to thank my close friends who helped me in many ways. And my dear, dear, very dear relatives, thanks for many, many reasons. This is indeed a lovely reunion for all of us. A sincere ending to each and every one of you and me. Have a fine life and share it wisely. Thank you. I'm only 87. I don't know why I watched it so long.
Thank you very much, Mike. I couldn't have said it better, Ron, a true legend in the province of Manitoba. I'll just tell you one Mike's backstory personally. First time I actually met Mike, like I knew he was, everybody who played basketball knew Mike's back, but the first time I met him or spoke to him was when I was still playing at the University of Manitoba, and there was a preliminary game before one of our Bison games where Manitoba kind of alumni played the junior Bisons. And I wanted to see this game, so I got there early, and I went to the locker room, and some of the people were still changing. And I went in to hang up my coat in my locker, and then I was going to go and watch the preliminary game, and Mike was, I'm sure he doesn't remember this, he was sitting there getting dressed. And I kind of I knew he was, and I didn't say much, and then I could see he looked a little confused and whatever, and I said, hi, I'm Ross Whitelake, and he said he knew me, even though he probably didn't. And I shook his hand, and I said, is there anything I can help you? He was sitting in the mid, and he said, he had his knee brace in his hand. He said, well, you know you're getting old, he says, when you're not sure which knee to put this on. But it is a very special evening, and as I said, he is the first person to be inducted in all three categories, and we couldn't think of a better candidate. Mike, thank you. Let's do a prize here. Someone will draw forward. This is prize number 6, and it is from the Brandon University. It is 4 game tickets, a t-shirt and a ball, and also from the Manitoba Colleges Athletic Conference some passes. And it's a blue ticket. And the winner is 0755477. 0755477. Who was selling the blue tickets? Who was? Hey, next time you'll know to buy off Jerry. One more, this is prize number 7 from the Manitoba High School Athletic Association, a jacket and a polo shirt. And it is an orange ticket this time, 9488406. 9488406. Moving along now to the team category, we have two groups that we're going to honor here tonight. The first group is the 1995-96 Brandon University Bobcats. They, of course, that year were CIS national champions, and this was the fourth national championship in Bobcat history. Their record in GPAC that year was 17 wins and 2 losses, and they were 36-6 overall throughout the year. At the CIS national tournament in Halifax, they first defeated the Acadia Axemen in the opening round, then they defeated the University of Toronto Blues in the semifinals, and finally the defending national champion University of Alberta Golden Bears in a game that I still remember watching on TSN. And that game, as we said earlier, I believe is available as one of the classic games on the Basketball Manitoba website. I remember a few highlights from that game. One of them, of course, was the putback dunk of Demetrius Floyd. I think that ended up being the TSN turning point, if I remember correctly, in the game. Also, there was a great block by Sean Gray late in the game. It was a very close game, and a lot of clutch free throw shooting down near the end of the game by Jason Scott, who I think was the high scorer of the game, Wayne Taylor and Roger Martin. In that game, interesting to note that 6 players scored in double figures, which is very uncommon in a national championship game. Keith Vassell was named the tournament MVP, and Sean Gray was the tournament all-star. Also of interest that this information was given to me, and it's interesting to note that of the 19 players, 16 of them players earned degrees, 9 players earned a second degree in education, and 4 players earned master's degrees. So this, of course, is a very special group and accumulated some very special honors. I got a couple of emails relative to this group. One was directed to one of the members of the team, Mark Blondin. It says, I wanted to pass on my congratulations to Mark on behalf of myself, Rhonda Duncan, Amanda Dryden, and my colleagues at Investors Group. I believe Mark was a great asset to my business and our team at our Investors Group due to his athletic career with the Bobcats. It was there he learned the value of hard work and team first. Congratulations to the Big Show and his family. From his friends at Investors Group, sincerely, Dennis Hunt. And another email I got is from a good friend of our Basketball Hall of Fame, George Berger, who now lives in Arizona. George was here, I believe, 2 dinners ago, and is a regular contributor to our Hall of Fame. And I keep in touch with him regularly, and we're very happy that he is a great supporter of ours. It says, congratulations, Coach Jerry Hemmings and your talented 95-96 Bobcats CS National Champions. Also to Jerry Abernathy, Mike Spack, and all the builders and other players and teams. You have all distinguished yourselves, your schools, your communities, and the province of Manitoba. Made conspicuous by the qualities of excellence you bring and brought to the game of basketball. Best wishes for continued success in life endeavors and continue to support Manitoba basketball. From the old coach and AD, George Berger. It says the old coach turned 80 last week, but plans to see all the University of Arizona home games in football, men's and women's basketball, and softball. So we'll continue to stay in touch with George, and we're happy, as we said, that he has been a consistent supporter of our Hall of Fame and continues to be that. We are going to list the names of the players on the team and have the ones that are here, and there are many here who have come, some of them a long distance to be here tonight, and we really appreciate that. And we'll have them come forward, and I believe 2 of the individuals from the team are going to have something to say, and we're going to ask Coach Jerry Hemmings to present those awards. So if Jerry would come forward now, please, and I will list the names of the players. Some of them are not here, but we'll list their names nevertheless. Greg Walker, Lenny Davis, who is the trainer, Bill Gordon, assistant coach, Jason Croach, manager, Jerry Hemmings, of course, head coach, Brett Knorr, assistant coach, Nigel Escoffery, assistant coach, Donald Phillips, Garfield Park, Roger Martin, Janie Blake, Scott Wallace, Jason Scott, Dave Brown, Larry Dudevoir, Jacob Hall. Here they come. I was going to say they're not coming, but here they do. Jacob Hall, Sean Gray, Wayne Taylor, Ewan Roberts, Keith Vassell, Demetrius Floyd, and Mark Blondin. These are the 1995-96 Brandon University Bobcats CIS National Champions. Come on out here, gentlemen. Please on to the podium. like to note that Keith Vassell, who is a member of the team 95-96, Steve Dubinsky, I forgot him, Tori, is also a member, was the trainer, I believe, with the team. Thank you. Keith Vassell, I mentioned, is now the coach of the Brandon Bobcats. And so he's taken over the reins and is now building programs there, as Jerry did over the years. So I think it's Keith and Ewan that are going to have a few things to say, so I'm going to ask them, as Jerry hands out the awards to the individuals, I'll ask them to say a few words.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys, thanks Ross and Manitoba Hall of Fame for inducting us. I mean, it's a great honor and we're really glad to be here. You can see so many of us came out, and congratulations Big Ab and everyone else who's been inducted, and the other the girls team that's going to be inducted. It's a really great honor, and it's really good to see that so many people are supporting Manitoba basketball. Big Todd too, congratulations. Very funny speech. I know for me, one of the things that made this team special outside of the games we played was practice. And I know it's weird, I'm standing up here talking about just practice, but I mean, some of our best competition outside of Wet Lakes Westman squads of the 90s was you know, going at each other in practice and trying to slam on each other, and you know, some big heavy fouls and all that. But that was all kind of brought out by this guy here, Coach Hemmings. And we also wanted to thank Marnie and Jordan, who just grew taller with the same baby face though, and Ashley for loaning us their dad for I don't know how many years he's been at Brandon, but quite a bit. And we have other families here, the Plamondon family out to support. But it was a great season. It was a great 5 years for me, and I know for Basil and all these other guys as well. So we thank you guys for having us in here and bringing us all together.
I guess I just wanted to speak about leadership on this team. It was a huge thing, especially for us. Our nemesis was definitely OW, and they were very strong mentally and physically, and I think it really forced us to have to be a lot closer, and leadership was very, very vital for our success. And in terms of leadership, Jerry Hemmings has epitomized an incredible example for the team. It shows in the fact of 8 guys from this group are presently coaching someplace, and it's one of those things that those of you may not understand or see or be involved with him on a day-to-day basis. And as a coach, I've been coached by many of the great coaches in Canada. For me personally, he's simply the best. And it just goes to show, based on the fact that Brandon is a very small community, very tight community, and he's been able to build a program that is still carrying over to this point based on his legacy. He came, and Brandon was never ranked #1, never came close to winning anything significant, and now it's something that is trucking along. So I'm sure all the players and myself, I just want to thank Jerry Hemmings for bringing us together, recruiting us, bringing us together, and leading us to be able to say that we're national championship winners. And I never really have said it, but like I said, from a player standpoint, leadership is also very important. And the big guy behind me is one of the best leaders that I've been able to witness and be a part of. He showed stability when, you know, things may not have been stable. He'd always keep us close-knit. He always thought team first. And he may not have gotten a lot of the glory in terms of individual accolades, but I think all the players will unanimously agree that he's also been an incredible example for that. Some of the people that, for this team to have been successful, there's a few names that are not here, and I think that it is important that they're mentioned. Our team doctor was Harold Silverman, who I haven't seen in many years, and I just want to thank him for definitely keeping my knees together. And also Doug Crandall, who has passed away. His dedication and his commitment, he was definitely our #1 fan, and it was incredible the way that he was. And also at that time that we were playing, Dr. Anderson, who is now living up in Gimli, he was an incredible support. And to have your school president pushing and making sure everything happened for us, gave us the opportunity to get to the national championship, and then for us to be able to be there. And I just want to thank him also. And also Dick McDonald and Bill Bridges, who was there. Also, it's great just to know that we had all that support. Also, just to finish up, for anybody who wants to just celebrate and enjoy the evening with the Bobcats, the Regency Room at the end of the hall on the left from 10 o'clock, be there or be square. Have a nice evening.
I'm just going to call upon Kurt DeFazio, who is the athletic director of Brandon University, now to come forward and accept the banner that is behind me on the wall that will hang in the Brandon University gym in recognition of the team being inducted into the Manitoba Basketball Hall of Fame. Here he comes now. Let's give away another prize. This is prize number 8. It is courtesy of the University of Manitoba again. 2 t-shirts, 2 water bottles, bumper sticker, 5 game passes, and also game passes from the Manitoba Colleges Athletic Conference. It is a pink ticket, and it is 809431. 809431. Pink. Oh, here it comes, somebody. And for the 9th prize from courtesy University of Winnipeg, lunch kit, 2 bags, a mug, and ticket package, 2 season passes, 1 family pass. Again, the blue ticket, it is 0755490. 0755490. In regards to the trivia contest, I'm not going to go through them all, but one I would like to ask, number 7, who was the first woman born in Brandon and an honored member of our Hall of Fame to be a CIAU CIS All-Canadian? I heard it. think I heard it. Dory McPhail, right, Dory McPhail. Yeah, she was All-Canadian in 1978-79, playing at the University of Winnipeg. And the other one that's interesting, name the, number 9, who was the Jackie Robinson of our Basketball Hall of Fame, i.e. broke the color barrier?
John Brown.
Very good, John Brown. He played in the early 50s. He played for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and played senior ball. And I didn't see any of it then, but I heard that his games when he played against Carl Ridd, they were some of the most physical games you could ever see. He was a legend in himself, and he was the first. He was our Jackie Robinson, if we have one. Moving on along, we always save the best for last. It's always an honor to recognize high schools, because we know that when you're working in a high school, you can't recruit. You take who happens to walk in. And in this case, when you're working in a high school that I believe has maybe 225 students, grade 9 to 12, the entire town of Warren, I believe, has maybe 3,500 people in it. So it's not a huge metropolitan center by any means. And when you consider that the group of young ladies that we're honoring tonight won 5 consecutive Manitoba High School Athletic Association provincial championships, it is an amazing record. They won in 1992, 93, 94, 95, 94, 95, 95, 96. They won at the AA level. And then in 96, 97, they chose to move to the AAA level, and they won again the provincial championship. Now, I don't care how many letters you put behind your trophy or your championship or wherever if you can win 5 provincial championships in a row, you must be doing something right, I can tell you. If you don't know where Warren is, it is not too far north of Winnipeg, about maybe 45 minutes, not too far from Stonewall. I've been there a number of times, and Boyd's Basics is one of the highlights, I think, that I've been to. Sometimes small towns, of course, a lot of humor is made about them, but we all know that there's a tremendous advantage to living in small towns. And last time, 2 years ago, when we recognized the teams from Hamiota, and this time when we're recognizing teams from Warren, I'm reminded about that strong sense of community that people have. Whether they happen to still live there or not, the real connections they have, and how people who were involved with the team, parents and other people, rally around them, and how it was very, very special for them. It's interesting that during that time, there were really 3 people who coached them. Now, Randy Lesuc, of course, is the one who many people recognize as being the coach of the Wildcats. There was also Marshall Posner, who's I hope is here tonight also, but another individual who, when I sent out a lot of emails to the groups, the girls over the last few months, one of them felt that I had left off a certain individual. I don't think I had, or if I did, I added it since then, but what she wrote back to me was quite interesting, and I'll just read some of it to you. It says, I was reading over the information you have sent, and it struck me that Mr. Overby was not listed as head coach. I was a member of the 92-93 team that started this streak, and I was a member of that team upon entering Warren Collegiate as a grade 9 student. Ken Overby spent countless hours, a number of years, building a great girls basketball program that missed going to provincials once in all the time that he coached. When I was in grade 9, Ken was working towards that 92-93 championship, and he made sure his team was ready defensively and offensively. Unfortunately, he didn't believe in himself as much as we did, and decided he needed help to get the job done. And he asked Randy Lesuc to come on as an assistant, which of course was a great addition because he came with more ideas and a new press. However, Ken was our head coach, and I feel it's important that he gets recognition for the number of hours and years he dedicated to the building of that program, which carried on for many years after he left Warren. and says, thank you for all your work or whatever. And I won't mention who wrote that because Christy Steves might get mad. But I think when I read that, not only did it recognize an individual, but it showed me again a strong sense of commitment to the group and how the group wanted to make sure everyone was recognized. And I know both individuals, Randy and Ken, deserve a lot of recognition and will be honored here tonight, as will the members of the team. But we also know that the players need to make that kind of commitment, and all the parents. One of the things that sometimes those of us who live in bigger metropolitan centers like Winnipeg forget is just the distances that some of these teams have to travel to play. Like I know when I was coaching in Winnipeg, we used to complain if we had to go to Charleswood or something. You know what I mean? And when you look at some of these smaller towns in rural Manitoba, they're traveling sometimes 3, 4, 5 hours by bus, school bus, just to play in a game. And I think it's important that we recognize the kinds of efforts that are made by people, not only to win games, but just to make zone competition in the rural Manitoba come to actually happen. And you win with you don't win championships without talent. So obviously, when you win 5 consecutive provincial championships, they had to have some talent. And I remember seeing some of the teams play. But it really, as in talking to Coach Randy Lasuk and others, it really was a lot to do with character too, and how the girls just basically willed things to happen. We're going to list again, as we did with the Brandon team, all of the members of the teams. Not all of them are here tonight, but many of them are. We'd like them to come forward to accept their award. And then I believe, let me just check my notes again. I believe that Randy is going to have a few words to say, and Desiree McFarland, who was a 4-time provincial winner. She was on 4 of those teams. So not a bad record. I assume that means she won in grade 9, 10, 11, and 12. So she went to high school 4 years and won 4 provincial championships. I don't know if that record has ever been beaten. There may be others like that too on these teams. But I will list off all the members of the teams. I'd like the young ladies to come forward. I'm looking at these pictures now, and that's quite the shirt you had on there in '97, Randy. I'm glad the picture isn't in color, or I'd be... Anyways, these are the members of the teams, and I'd like them to come forward, as we said, to accept their awards, and then we'll hear from the team spokespeople. Randy Lasuk, of course, coach, Jody Chartrand, Desiree McFarland, Michelle Castles, Monica Castles, Christy Braun, Stacy Carter, Don Hamilton, Kyla Riddell, Melissa Fleury, Robin Olson, Debbie Hose, Heather McRae, Oksana Banais, Ken Overby, Ashley McFarland, Candace Chartrand, Stephanie Rousseau, Morgan Smith, Sheila Tully, Courtney Leary, Amarilli Setterioni, I believe, if I remember correctly, Randy said that she was an exchange student, but I'm not sure of that. Christine Katelko, Kim Olson, Marshall Posner, Shauna Rousseau, Jennifer Steves coming right up on the stage here. We're gonna, all crowd in here. We're all close-knit group. And Helga Baker, Kelly Atchison, Shannon Fleury, Tara Porteous, Shannon Morgan, Michelin Jones, and Christy Steves. And if I mispronounced any of the names, I apologize. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Warren Wildcats, 5 years provincial champions. Let's hear it for them.
First of all, I have to admit that I'm much more nervous than I thought I was going to be. I want to, first of all, thank the Manitoba Basketball Hall of Fame for honoring us tonight, and would like to thank, or pardon me rather, I'd like to honor all the other inductees that went in today. This was a tremendous amount of work, as you can see, and it's very much appreciated. I usually like to tell a joke behind the mic, but since I know that I only have limited time up here, I want to spend that time talking about my girls. And I still call them my girls, even though some of them are in their 30s and late 20s. But it really was an incredible run. It was a magical time. And, you know, a lot of people ask me, well, what was the secret to the Warren Wildcats' success? They say, was it the water? And I don't think so. But were we athletic? Yes. Were there more athletic teams that we played against? Yes. Were we very skilled in basketball? Yes. Were there teams we played against that were more skilled? Yes. Were we very well conditioned? Yes. Were there other teams more conditioned? Yes. But we did have all those three things at a very high level. But were we intense? Yes. Were other teams more intense than us? No. I really believe it was our intensity that set us apart more than anything else. And that started in practice. And practice is usually not a fun time, and I'm sure they don't think of it as a fun time. But some of these athletes have told me that part of the basketball they miss most is practices because they could just leave the gym feeling totally spent, and to them that was a good feeling. And it was true, they were totally spent. They worked so hard, they pushed each other so hard. I can remember a time when one of our assistant principals came during a practice and was watching a little bit, and he said, "You have the two best teams in the province here." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, your starters and the other members on your team, because they pushed our starters so hard, and it just made everybody so much better. So everybody can really contribute to all these championships because of their work ethic and what they meant to each other." I can remember reading an article in the newspaper. One of the coaches said, "Playing against war is like 40 minutes of hell." And I suppose it was. I believe that we revolutionized rural basketball in the late 90s. Because we played a full court pressurized defense all game long. And back then, it was mostly a lot of teams walk it up on offense, go back to the zone on defense. Well, we were just the opposite of that. And as we played, we saw more teams starting to play like us because I think they knew they had to increase the pace if they were going to compete with us. But I also recall our team really trusting each other, because when you're playing a lot of man defense or if you're playing press defenses, you always have to be in the right spot, or you have to be in the right spot to help. And if one person breaks down, the other team scores. So we really, I felt, worked as a team, as a machine. We really covered the whole court. And everybody really bought into what they were doing. They whether it was to get a rebound, to take a charge, it really didn't matter who scored the basket as long as we contributed. And there's so many ways to contribute in basketball. So this team is very special in that way. And all I can say is I have such fond memories. I remember, the girls dancing in the dressing rooms after some big wins and so on. So there's a lot of fond memories. One thing I also want to point out, to me, the 5 championships were very special. But even as special as that, I believe, was that a two-way school, 200 students. By the way, Ross, I think our town grew. We're a town of about 500 people, not 3,500, but... I think that probably one of the bigger achievements for us as well was that we played a lot of the 4A tournaments. We got a lot of invitations to the 4A tournaments. And against the top 5 4A tournaments we played over those 5 years, we have a winning record of 12 wins and 8 losses. And only 2 losses during all those 5 years came to teams that weren't top 3 ranked 4A teams. So for us to compete at the very top level in 4A and win our several tournaments in 4A, I think that in itself was a major accomplishment that we feel proud of. That kind of put Warren on the map as well in the city kind of thing. So I have nothing but feelings of pride for this group of girls, and they're very dear to me and my family. And I just want to recognize just a couple people very quickly. Gladys Scott, who's always been a long-time supporter of us and nominated us. I also want to thank our staff at the time at Warren Collegiate, and we had a lot of support with the parents. They were just fantastic, helped us out in any way they could. So thank you for those people that contributed as well. Thank you.
The mic up a little bit more here. You cut into my time, I'm gonna cut this short. Again, congratulations to everyone who's been inducted. It's amazing to be in the same pool as Todd. Hello, oh my goodness. Like seriously, it's amazing. Just a quick memory on behalf of our team. Like we were surrounded by amazing people, our parents. I don't know if it's a small town thing, but parents and supporters. Stacy's grandma, like, she would be cheering every game, and seriously, she was what, like 110? And she was awesome, like, it was just great support. We had great coaches, great parents. It was just, that was part of us, who we were, was just very family orientated. And just a quick memory with Lasuk, like, us girls, I can imagine a guy coaching a bunch of over-emotional women in high school, really? But a few times I remember memories going out to, he's like, hey girls, water break, get back in quickly, let's go. We go leave the gym after hard practice, come back in, and we knew he'd be saying, line up, because we knew what's gonna happen, we're gonna be running the lines. And so I remember a few times we were like, let's stand up against him, we don't need to go through this. Let's go in there and totally riot, and we can like do this. We get in there, nobody said nothing. We looked at each other, we just lined up, we bent down, we did our thing, but all to say, we learned a lot of like skills, how to do the press, how to shoot a hoop, and all this stuff. And the biggest thing that stands out to me, and I'm sure for the rest of the girls, a lot of these girls are beautiful mothers and married, and the biggest thing that I really take from that is not how to shoot a hoop in proper form, it's those life skills, like endurance, how to push when you have to push. And I'm talking delivery also. Not just like... I have 4 boys. But just those life skills we really took, and we just persevered in life. We're just strong women here. And you're all snickering because you all knew. And it's true, like we were blessed to have coaches, Randy, Marshall, Ken, to be there, our families, and to be with a team like this, a small town group. That's one thing about small town, you don't have a lot of access to like life. But our team, like we were close, we were small, we were family, and that's the thing about like a rural area, and it was awesome. And all to say, Coach Lasuk, if you guys didn't know that, he was an amazing coach on and off the court, but you didn't know this about him. He can sing. We won't get into do it now, but if you want to ask him about that later, he'll do it for you. And again, thank you so much. Like, we are very honored, all of us girls. We cannot believe years later, it's amazing, but we're very honored. I think I say that on behalf the team, and Bobcats, a bunch of us girls told you, me too in the Regency.
I'm going to call upon Mr. Darrell Hall, who is the former principal of Warren Collegiate, to come forward and accept the banner that is on the wall, unless the girls took it already. No, they didn't. To accept the banner on behalf of the school. Mr. Hall, come forward, please.
Wait a second, Mr. Hall. Don't, Mr. Hall, wait.
It's always interesting, I find, with young women in these young women, of course, are substantially older than when they played at Warren. So a lot of things have changed. They may have had children, they learned how to push, as we found out, and whatever. But they still giggle the same, don't they? That doesn't change, I find. That doesn't change. Okay, we're just about finished here. We have one more prize to give out, and it is a free night here at the Victoria Inn Hotel and Convention Center. And we decided that, we have two more prizes actually, and we decided we would add something to this because, you know, you never know, you might be here at the Victoria Inn for your night, and you might have trouble going to sleep. You never know, like sometimes people have trouble going to sleep. So we've added to it a copy of Vic Pruden's book, Conceptual Approach to Basketball. That's a guaranteed, actually Adam was telling me the other day that the St. Boniface Hospital Sleep Disorder Clinic has over 100 copies of this. Well, if you don't, this shows you, if you don't come to the dinner, we can mean-mouth you. So you better come or we'll get you next time. It's a pink one, and it is 809495. 809495. Also, I have one more here that just an interesting story behind it. For the last 3 dinners, Larry Wondowich, who was a member of the University of Winnipeg-Westman and worked with the Lotteries Corporation, has supplied our prizes for us to give out. So, as I said, I contacted him again, not knowing he doesn't work for them anymore. He's back in school, taking his MBA, I find out. But shows you the kind of character that some people have. He didn't want to say no, so he went to the lottery, to the casino, and bought some gift certificates out of his own money and donated them because he wanted to have something to contribute. And again, that's just it's an example of the kind of character that a lot of the people in our basketball community have. So we're going to draw for these gift certificates. And they can't be used for gambling, I've been told. So you have to buy some food or something or whatever. It's an orange ticket. 9488396. 9488396. I guess I win it then. 9488396. Orange ticket. Oh. Somebody woke him up. I was just handed this, and I'll read it, I'm not sure, it says it's a telegram. Congratulations on another great induction ceremony. The committee is a dedicated group working hard for the basketball community, and you deserve a great thank you. By the way, I know you will have Ross Willig act as MC because he is ask him to take off his socks first. I would like to recognize, though, the members of our committee. Just very quickly, they're listed for you on page 3. Myself as the chair, Vic Pruden is unfortunately not here. Janet McMahon is treasurer, Rick Lambert, Jerry Olchina, Bill Woodlake, Jerry Olchina, Irv Hannock, Wes Grimble, Morris Glitcher, Sheldon Appel, Kurt Workington, Jerry Hemmings, and Adam Woodlake. I think that just about brings us... This is the group that's supposed to keep me on task here, so I'm looking for their nod of approval. We're just about completed another evening. We're not too bad in terms of time. The bar will remain open. This room is ours till at least 1 o'clock, I was told, so nobody has to leave. I know some of you might be, I hear Jerry's buying drinks in the Regency room. But again, I'd like to thank all of you for coming tonight, and I'd like to congratulate a very special group of inductees. We had, of course, the tall, Todd and Jerry, the short, Mike, Bob Hazel. We had Andrea Hutchins Hutch in between, and we had two groups of great teams representing basketball at different levels as great representatives of the province of Manitoba. And so we're very honored to welcome them into our Basketball Hall of Fame. Their little plaques in our Hall of Fame will be going up shortly. I already have them. I'll be putting them up in the next, probably this coming week. So if you want to check it out. Yes, and remember please that the presenters and all the award winners in that corner over there to my left, we're going to be taking pictures. So you don't all have to run there immediately, but we would like the presenters and the award winners to be over there for the formal photographs. I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. Remember, this group reunites in 2011, which sounds like a space odyssey, but it's only 2 years from now. We will probably be back in this venue. They've been very good to us, and we probably will be back here. So please, if your name is on those sheets, we'll keep in touch with you by email, and we'd like you to keep working for the betterment of the game of basketball in the province of Manitoba, and hopefully you will continue to be a supporter of the Basketball Hall of Fame. So thank you very much, and have a good evening the rest of the time. Thank you.